Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is the Wolf and I'm casting a game between KoKoRo, the blue Terran at the top, Metalopolis versus opponent HITTHEPANDA, and that's his name probably, is HITTHEPANDA. It's Hit is his name. He's not hitting pandas, it's illegal. I got this replay from KoKoRo, and I'm going to tell you that because if you use the forums that you should be using, StarCraftCentral.net, you know who KoKoRo is. It means heart in Korean, I think. I'm not sure exactly. It's been a long time since I've casted a game. I've been so busy trying to get a new place and posting, because that's all I do is post, and I was sick, so I don't want to cast when I'm feeling bad. I don't want to, cough all the time in the mic, etc. And then, of course, I got Minecraft, so I pretty much have a drug problem right now. I'm talking to a therapist. They're helping me out with that. And yes, KoKoRo has an interesting strategy to show off here against Protoss. As you may know, generally we have a brain fart. You got kind of the Marine Marauder thing, Marauder Medevac against the Protoss units that generally have to go Colossus. Terran usually goes Vikings to fight the Colossus, or Ghosts to fight the High Templar, and then it kind of gets all the units. So generally this match is viewed to favor Terran early game and Protoss late game. Protoss been getting better and better at getting to late game, so they're actually going to be nerfed probably in the future. I hope it's a Colossus nerf, but I'm starting to doubt that. Pretty standard here. Let's get that production tab up. I keep forgetting to do. 16 is when that comes out, so go ahead and just keep that clicked. Nothing really going on yet. It's not that unique at the beginning of the game. I'll also be trying to get a replay from Raven, as you guys can see. Hey Sword, can I get a replay of the blah blah blah? He and I worked on a TVZ build, which is pretty awesome, so it's definitely micro-intensive. It's not easy to do by any means. There's the Orbital Command 16. Not easy to do by any means, but I definitely feel that better Terran players can learn a lot from it and stop bitching about it. So, yeah, Raven's always got big balls, even though he doesn't cast anymore because he's a sick head. There's the gateway. Not gonna get a stock. Yeah, he doesn't have enough for a zealot anyway, so probably just gonna wait for a stalker to go ahead and kill the scouting SCV. Really critical for early Protoss because we have such separate tech paths. You want to kill that scouting worker, and zealots are gonna be able to do that for you. So, nothing yet. Nothing really unique yet. Getting a tech lab though, not a reactor, which is more common than a reactor. I remember playing Terran once against a silver player. I think it was Pirek StarCraft, and I think I could have beat him if I had actually got a tech lab at some point in there and just got stim, because stim is easy mode. It's really easy to play as Terran. All you gotta do is a click, and then it's also really easy to play as Zerg because you only have one base to macro. So I'm just gonna point out that Protoss is probably the hardest race to play. Terrans and Zerg are tied for easiest, so I don't know why you guys complain about Terran versus Zerg. It's just so easy to play both sides. But I mean, look at this. This Zealot requires insane micro to beat this SCV, so that's good proof right there. Getting a Stargate, 1-gate Stargate, which is nice. It's not that common. It's only really good against Terran players that kind of go 1-1-1, or fast expansion. The harassment of the Phoenix or timing pushes with Void Rays can be very deadly. In my experience, though, I would never go Stargate against Terran because my computer's not good enough to micro units. I'm going to also try to use the keyboard a bit. It's going to be a little faster than the mouse. This is how I have it set. But I'm actually doggy sitting again right now, so my mouse isn't as responsive as I would like. So I'm going to try to use both a little bit here. Reposition myself a bit too. So both players kind of going for a fast tech on the Protoss side, so he could actually be destroyed by an early MM attack. He must have scouted that he didn't see it coming. I hope he did. Well, KoKoRo is going 1-1-1 and a fast expansion, so we got a couple bunkers going down. One bunker right now, I guess. Probably another one, though. This doesn't do very much by itself. And, yeah, so we got kind of a fast factory here. Generally, if it's going to go fast factory, you see fast Banshees, but then fast Banshees usually don't have an expansion. Well, the Protoss player would be completely ready for Banshees if they didn't have Cloak, obviously. If they have Cloak, you just gotta switch tech right away. Going Stargate has several disadvantages over going Robotics, the biggest being the units can't really fight that well. I say that a little bit liberally, but, Phoenix isn't going to do anything compared to an Immortal. And you also lose your chance to get detection and easy scouting. And Phoenix scout better than observers, but they don't detect, obviously. And observers scout, and they can also stick around. So I'm just going to start practicing going 4-gate, and then eventually I'm going to start getting robotics in there. And I don't tend to be making one of these for a long time because I'm very bad rusty. But against Kanga, I intend to be going like 5-gate Zealot because Zealot's overpowered. Need a nerf. Yep. So there's the expansion. There is the final one, I suppose, Starport, and we have a factory here. It's kind of, I'm surprised you put the Starport right here. Generally, you want to get an add-on as fast as possible, especially Tech Lab, since they're fairly cheap, realistically. So I think that's bad building placement. Yeah, he's gonna have to move it over. So definitely not. This is just a little thing you want to make sure to know. KoKoRo said that he is a, let's see, Control Shift F. The right one. He said himself that he's more of a micro player, not a macro player, so his macro will probably slip a bit this game. He'll make several macro mistakes, you know, like expansion. But the the factory right there. So we're going to see some harassment here by the Phoenix. Fortunately, flying right over the bunker, which I don't want to follow the bunker. We're just going to do this. There we go. Like I said, a little less responsive. Sniping out Mule is always a great target, easy to shoot down. Fortunately, Marines do really well against him. Fortunately for Hit, which is his name, it's not that he's hitting pandas. KoKoRo went for a 1-on-1 build, which is actually pretty weak to Phoenix harass. Doesn't have the Marines necessary to deal with it. He will be getting a couple Vikings, one right now. So going to probably push back these Phoenix for a little while. Panda did some good damage there if we look at the units lost. Oh yeah, mules don't cost anything because they're overpowered. If we look at the income, though, you can definitely see that red's ahead right now. It's very difficult to macro as well when you have Phoenix around. So, kind of surprised he even has warp gates right now. But he's getting a robotic, so he's making a tech switch into the Colossus, which is pretty common, or just detection. There's a missile turret going down. KoKoRo doesn't know how to make missile turrets, so I'm surprised it's actually on the field right now. Looking for the D production. There we go. I didn't forget. There is a reactor going on this barracks. He switched it out, so we're probably going to see some tanks or possibly Thors. Tanks aren't that common against Protoss, but Thors are fairly common. Not as common as the MMM, that is very well known, but they're not nothing. So, and Protoss player doing his harassment and expansion. A little loud. I'm going to turn that down. I don't like fighting against the game for volume rights. Not getting any more Phoenix, so pretty good there. Just getting 5 Phoenix for some easy harassment and scouting. I'd be scared about a lot of Phoenix floating around, especially because KoKoRo doesn't know how to make missile turrets. Ha, just messing. My friend Swordx Shield, though, who is also a Masters, I forgot to say, KoKoRo is a 3100 Masters or so. He's a 28 Masters, and he knows how to make a lot of missile turrets. So, sniping out the gas ones, abusing his shield mechanic. It's very nice control here by the Protoss player, and really good macro. I'm very impressed. He's definitely a great player. Of course, at this level, you have to be pretty good. Although I probably could beat him, just because I am better than he is. I can't think of another reason. Just because I'm strictly better than he is. That's actually kind of cool. Not too many production facilities yet. When he gets this saturated up pretty nicely, when he gets both of his bases saturated up and he's kind of moving for the third, he'll probably be able to get a nice big army there. Both players are kind of hungering for units right now, so they're both hungering for units. That's why their expansions are just saturating up. So, getting 2 more barracks. So we're going to see 3 racks play. And we're going to see some Marines coming out for the air units, obviously. So KoKoRo's doing the wise thing. I really, tell you the truth, this build is actually not designed to get that many Marines, just a couple. If I were him, I'd probably just get more missile turrets. I know that they can't cover everything, but realistically, even if you abuse shields, Mutalisks are generally better against turrets than Phoenix are. I'm just saying. They don't do damage, bonus damage to light anyway, so I'm just thinking there. There's level 1 infantry weapons, and he said for this build, it is a biomech build. I'm going to kind of spoil it a little bit. He said that you want to get the weapons first for the ground units because they don't overkill, and you want to get the armor first for the armor. Armor for the tanks and Thors, if there are any Thors. You want to get the armor for the mechs so they can tank more damage, because they usually overkill things anyway, like the tank doing 35 damage. Versus, you know, the Marauder only doing 20 damage to armored. you want to get at weapons first so they can do more damage and not overkill. Well, the siege tanks are able to take more damage. And what KoKoRo said about this replay was I liked what he said. Generally, Protoss kind of have a weakness in the early game, and it switches to their favor late game. What he said was this game is very, word I'm looking for. It felt very, it's not balanced. It escapes me now. It was definitely back and forth, though. It wasn't like one player just won. You know, it wasn't just easy for a player to beat the other player, which is kind of the idea for Protoss versus Terran, is that at the early game, you know, miss a force field, it's easy for the Terran to win. And if the Protoss gets to late game and he has Colossus and High Templar, it's easy for the Protoss to win, even though Protoss is the hardest race to play, so I'm just throwing that out there. Yeah, both players are stuck on 2 base. I'm actually surprised they haven't expanded. I could see why Red hasn't expanded, because he's kind of focusing on his micro with his Phoenix, that's one reason I hate that unit. It's my second least favorite unit. My first being the Mothership. I wish it was just removed, because I really hate this weapon. It's the ultimate weapon of war. I remember hearing that when I saw it, like, the ultimate weapon of war. Okay, cool. It can kill things just by looking at them. It needs to be nerfed. So right now, going to standard 3 racks, going to get some Marines in here too, because he is fighting air units. It isn't designed to get Marines, and you'll probably see a switch right here. Yeah, so he's actually just going to get just Marauders is how this works. Just Marauders, some Hellions. There's the switch under the reactor. I can't see what the upgrade, there we go. So he's going to get, you know, tanks, Hellions, Marauders, and then some Vikings to protect the air. Now, Vikings are nice because obviously they fight Colossus really well, and they also are fairly well against other Protoss air. They do really well against Void Rays. Obviously, they need about equal numbers, equal supply, but they're good. And of course, they can switch to ground, so they're not as. I guess Void Rays can shoot ground too, so that doesn't really give them any bonus points. But Void Rays are very weak to Marines anyway, because they don't have the armor that most Protoss units do. Against Phoenix, they can beat them. Phoenix just generally can fly so fast, though, that Phoenix will what's the word I'm looking for? Have air superiority over Vikings. So, but we do have Khydarian Amulet, which is the most important upgrade for Protoss. If they removed it, I'd probably just kill everybody that I knew. You know, I would just walk into work one day. You know, I'll be over for them. I'm just messing. Where's that forge? I want to see if he's got any other upgrades. Because you see the +1 armor, which I always suggest against Terran players. Against mech and biomech like this, you'd want to get weapons first. But generally against the MM, that is common, you want to get armor. And of course, you pretty much want to avoid shields, because shields are dumb. There's some I love to see siege tanks expansion. I just love to see them siege up and then protect an expansion. This is going to be really hard for the Protoss player to crack open. He does have High Templar, and they're all ready to storm, though. By all, I mean 4. And he does have charge for his Zealot. So if the army is very diverse here. You can see how small the army really is, but with good micro, this Protoss army should be able to destroy this, especially this kind of style. You can see how there's only 1 Viking up there. And so the Phoenix could just fly over there and destroy everything. Of course, at this time, he probably thinks that there is a lot of Marines over there, and of course there are 4 turrets. So there's the Infernal Pre-Igniter. Want to make sure to get that upgrade. It's very critical for the Hellions not to suck, because they do kind of suck without it. There's the attack. Chargers flying in there, and they're lifting up the tanks. And so immediately this fortified position, if that Planetary Fortress was done, probably would have just destroyed the Protoss. But as it stands, was able to kind of get on top of them, and he needs to land some pretty good storms right on top of this ball here. Go! And not microing out at all. The storm definitely going to just destroy the units here. Now, to tell you the truth, I was kind of thinking of something weird. I'll tell you in a minute. I won't forget. There's some Vikings a little late to the party, but very even. You know, the engagement, he had High Templar there, and it's definitely a Planetary Fortress. But come on, 2 kills. That definitely came out kind of even for both players, especially after the point of High Templar come out. And realistically, if it had been more Viking and well microed, you can see KoKoRo is not a macro player. He's already building up minerals and gas. Well, the Protoss player just has a lot of minerals, which he can spend on a couple more expansions. Getting called apparently, but yeah, it's I don't want to answer that because it's not my phone. Anyway, if he had more Vikings like this should have gone down, he would have more Hellions to deal with the charge-offs easily, and more Vikings would have been able to stop any type of Colossus anyway. So That actually would have done pretty well against both Colossus and High Templar if he was really well macroing, and both players had come out kind of even. This would have been probably would have came out even at the end of the engagement if with good micro by the Protoss player. What was I going to say though was I was thinking about Storm. Bunkers kind of fight Storm pretty well. It's a little weird to think about that, but Psionic Storm doesn't even damage buildings. I know I'm not a Terran player. I'm not telling you to go and make bunkers with every one of your pushes, but realistically, that's just kind of what I was thinking about. It was just a thought I had. If Terran players got more bunkers, wow. If they got more bunkers with their MM pushes, they probably could resist Storm better, although I wouldn't, I'm not a Terran player. Just an idea I had. Definitely did some damage to the probes. Not the kind of damage you want to do, though. You'd rather kill 10 of them rather than hurt 20 of them, if you know what I'm talking about. And Terran player is definitely up in expansion right now. And if he had better macro, he probably could just push out and win, or slow push across the map, especially because this isn't saturated at all. This is very well saturated, and this one's kind of getting mined out. So KoKoRo probably should have expanded at this point and macroed up a little bit better. It's hard to say something like that, like macro better. Well, oh man, that's sad. Poor High Templar. And good Storm there was able to not do anything because they all just moved over. Also, Storm is overpowered. Needs to. I think we should just remove High Templar. The game would be more balanced. So we got 2 Hellions out of production facilities. 2 Hellions, 2 tanks, 3 Marauders, and 2 Vikings. Oh, actually, there's a lot of Marauders. So macro fail there. That's probably what's up. He needs to. At this point in the game, KoKoRo, I would just suggest you use a supply drop. I know it's kind of weird to say, but you have an excess of minerals, not enough supply available to you. So just, free your mind to that idea. Every once in a while. Ooh, there goes the armory. That's bad. Goodbye, armory. I hate this new smoke stuff. It's just dumb. It just looks dumb. I mean, maybe I could buy it if it wasn't so dumb looking. It looks like just an old... I mean, I could do this on my paint. There's some supply depots going down. I mean, if he had just supply drop, though, the problem would have already alleviated itself. Storm going down, trying to protect that, trying to move out of the storm. Small... Ooh, I don't know if this Thor's going to be able to stop. It will if he... oh, then there's a storm, so yeah, that Thor's probably going to die. It's kind of sad, actually. The SCV's... Like, you're being told to walk into what? A storm? So there's the weapons too, and armor 1. Really wants to get that done. Was able to protect the building, but there's no way he's going to be able to, research it before it's destroyed if it gets focus fire down. So, kind of scary. Got a drop in the back of the base here. Nothing to really deal with it. So, I could see this being kind of weak to harassment, like the Terran or the Protoss player is doing. Mech for Terran is so slow. There's really nothing you can do about this. I mean, he'd have to come up here and siege up and hope he doesn't get slaughtered. We do have 5 Marauders coming up here. Going to deal with this one Archon because Archons can't beat Marauders, sadly. If it comes out of a gateway, it probably gets killed by Marauders. We do have another engagement going down here, and we do have the brunt of the army here. Not quite as many siege tanks as I would like to see personally, especially because they're the most gas-heavy unit here, and obviously there's an excess of gas compared to minerals. Generally, you want to have less gas than minerals because you get less gas than minerals. That means you're macroing up well. He's not doing as well, but just build 10 more warp gates and warp in 10 zealots, and you'll be fine. So it was able to kind of hold back here. This army was able to deal with whatever the Protoss player was doing. His forces are separated. Unfortunately, this is very scary. Now, these 2 Thors should be able to deal with this fairly easily, as long as they don't get focus fire too much and they don't get a stormer on top of them. High Templar can't really do anything. If HITTHEPANDA just warped in some more zealots and chrono boosted out another pair, actually right there would do a lot. So KoKoRo's being hit on both sides, probably freaking him out a little bit, while the Protoss player isn't really macroing that much right now. I guess he has no gas, so... Yeah, I can't believe how much abuse zealots take. They're like, no, I don't want to die. I didn't do the troll voice, so it was just unintentional. And there's the cleanup. The Thors were able to deal with it. Without Psionic Storm, the small groups of zealots just aren't enough to deal with these awesome Thors. Get me back into the fight! And so... Hit's got 1. Yeah, he definitely needs to get a new base stat. He actually probably could double expand pretty happily, considering that probes and nexus and assimilators all cost just minerals. Expanding 2 or 3 times wouldn't be out of the question. Got his army kind of messing up. KoKoRo's just, that's all I'm going to say is if he had more tanks and better positions, that's all I could say about this to make it strong. This just doesn't look very strong to me. It's just a lot of marauders. There's no Hellions to really deal with the zealots, and the tanks are just, there's not enough, you know, they're in the back. So I would say the production facilities in the future, if I were to give a suggestion, a humble platinum player, just make more factories and more siege tanks. I know that they can be very weak, but that's definitely what would make this build stronger, the siege tanks. Because siege tanks, let's just face it, they're very awesome. It's a little quiet moment in the game here. Getting +1 weapons finally, very delayed. There's the expansion by the gold. I mean, I don't know why you'd expand by the gold. It's more dangerous, and it's not like that's what you need. At this time, though, he is actually catching back up on where he wants to be macro-wise. KoKoRo's doing a similar thing, but like I said, he really needs to just get more Thors and tanks. Thors and tanks. And, oh, actually, no, he's not even supply blocked. And then, what is this? Another planetary fortress here? Okay. So he is expanding. Going to hunger for some more minerals. Thankfully, this kind of mineral-heavy state of the build. Very luckily, he's got the gold, though. He's getting +3 weapons, and he's still getting the +1 armor for his vehicle. So you see he was kind of going heavier on the infantry right now, obviously. You want to go heavier on the units you have the upgrades for, generally. +1, +0, I don't even know how I would say that. +1, +0, +0, I guess. We do have a drop, I guess, a warping group of zealots here. Might be able to get the rest, you know, if we get the army out of position here, that's really bad. Leaving the tanks up there alone is definitely not what you want to do, but sieging them in and out can be really bad too. So finally told them to A-click. Focus firing, nothing. Not very good control of the zealots there. Fortunately, they take a lot of damage. Hellions really melt zealots away, though. They're just obliterate them. There's the engagement, though, and we see the planetary fortress is pretty much the only thing that's making this not a rollover right here. If the Protoss player had... He cut all the tanks out of position, and now, of course, all these Marauders have to walk through psionic storms to get back here. So he's going to have to land these Vikings. I wouldn't suggest landing them there. I would have landed them back here. Realistically, though, there's an Immortal, and that's one thing you don't want your Vikings facing. So the Marauders, with their burly HP, were able to kind of resist the storm, and they haven't used their stem, so they're going to stem up right now. There's another storm, though. And the Thors are really, I mean, they're the backbone of this army right here. If you know, if there was more tanks and more Thors, this would have changed a lot. Of course, having his units out of position really didn't help there. And so the Psionic Storms are still going on there. Unfortunately, that's probably going to be the end of these Thors. Psionic Storm does so well against every unit, 80 damage no matter what. Don't get armor upgrades. That actually might be a little thing too against Protoss. You may want to focus on getting the weapon upgrades for all units and not the armor upgrades, because it won't really help against the Psionic Storm or the Colossus that much. You know, it'll lower 2 damage from Colossus, 2 from Zealots. It makes a difference, but realistically, you might just want to focus on getting weapons so you can kill faster. There's the SCVs deciding to go commit suicide. I guess they're very... The Immortal's like, hey, where are you guys going? And the High Templar are like, we gotta float up here, then we're gonna go float up and do some damage. We're gonna do some harassment now. Okay, yeah, that's the... if only you could have these be A-clicked. I mean, come on. It just doesn't make any sense. We got a scary Archon coming up here. Archons should be able to morph into Twilight Archons and have stem. I think Archons should have stem. The game would be balanced. That'd be so unbalanced. Oh man, Archon's attack is so slow. I mean, yeah, they do a lot of damage, but it's like, I'm gonna hit you. We do have a siege up here of the gold base. So he's got a build of gas and minerals, so he's not out of the game. But in his current state, you know, he's got this really oversaturated, this way oversaturated, and this, of course, doesn't have anything going on. He's also not using his Chrono Boost very wisely, but at this point I wouldn't say that's too bad, because he's got, you know, he's spinning his minerals and his gas. He could have got his upgrades much faster, though. Sonic Storms, the Marauders are just surviving it. They just don't, they're not dying to it. And then, of course, stem, shoot, nice, good control there. You can tell KoKoRo's just a better micro player overall. Sorry, just seeing the you know, Marauders are able to beat that bigger group of Zealots. They're like, yes, we won, and they're walking back up the ramp, and they just get blown up by a giant psionic storm. So, like KoKoRo said, that I'm relaying to you fellows, this is a very close game. You can see how both armies have kind of expended themselves. With this kind of favor KoKoRo if he could get more minerals, because actually that's what he really needs. He has no minerals right now, that's his problem. So losing both expansions might just cost him the game. He can't really double expand either, otherwise I would suggest getting the gold back. He needs those minerals right now. And as soon as he's done, he needs to, of course, transfer his SCVs over right away. Protoss player is looking a little stronger because he still has minerals to mine. But he's definitely not really in a better position. He just mined out this base, so he doesn't have a lot of minerals left. He's got a good amount, probably as much as the gold does up there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this turn into a, not a planetary fortress, a command, orbital command. It is going to become a planetary fortress, though. And I'm also surprised he hasn't floated over this. He doesn't really need the gas anymore. He wants to transfer his SCVs off of the gas and onto the minerals. I've done that myself a couple times. I'm not a great player, but at times playing as Protoss, I'll notice I've got an excess of gas. Well, the best way to spend the gas is to get less gas. And so I'll just transfer my probes off the gas for a while, get some more minerals, resaturate it with more probes, you know. Like, oh, I got too much gas, move over, and then get more probes, and then move back. That usually fixes my problem. You want to generally try to avoid that, though. If you're smarter than me, you could just saturate them both properly. That'd be more wise. The reason I'm saying, though, maybe this shouldn't be a planetary fortress, it is kind of out of the way. I mean, it's not really a stretch to see the Protoss player walk up here and destroy it, but it's not like this is something that he's going to just walk up to. What words do I want to use? I guess I kind of caught myself in a corner there. He could walk up here and destroy this, but it's definitely, both of the bases here at the ends of the map are kind of farther out than all the other bases, so it's not a natural thing to just walk straight up there. Fortunately for Mr. KoKoRo, mules are very overpowered, so he's just muling the shit out of this base, and his income has probably skyrocketed, yeah, to double that of the Protoss player, which is kind of silly. They're not really overpowered, though. I don't like them very much, but they're not overpowered. I think it's funny that they get infantry armor, too. And they're definitely mech. That'd be funny, have them get mech or ship upgrades. Ship upgrades are dumb. Who gets these? They're dumb. What do they benefit? They don't benefit Ravens. I mean, what are you going to do? Make an overpowered unit stronger? Battle cruisers? And, you know, Vikings don't need it. So I don't even know those upgrades are in the game. They're just dumb. Gonna go take another expansion. We got a War Prism filled with Zealots coming over here to the base, so I might be able to eat my own words. I can't remember if I thought Planetary Fortresses have Splash, but I'm trying to think if they have Friendly Fire Splash. I'm pretty sure they don't. It's just because of siege tanks. You know, if this was a Protoss building, for some reason I would know it doesn't have Splash, but I want to say as a Terran building it does. And so KoKoRo is actually in a really bad spot right now. He's letting his opponent macro up. I'd have to say Hit is probably just a better player, to be honest. His micro is not as good, but his macro is infinitely better. And so right now he's on 2.5. Yeah, about 2.5 bases versus KoKoRo, who's only on really 1 base right now. And I like how it folds the Thor up. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's stupid. My mouth tastes like blood. It's weird. Yeah, it's just a little important tidbit there. So hits, that's kind of ironic there. Like, I'm going to drop over here. I'm going to drop over here. And so there goes the drop. I love how they just charge right in there, right towards the Planetary Fortress. Planetary Fortresses are kind of nice because if you guys know, the AI of the units will actually focus units that are the most dangerous first, and the units that are, you know, less dangerous afterwards. And of course, SCVs aren't dangerous. As long as you tell them not to attack things, they'll all focus fire the planetary fortress. So, let's see, 80 damage, right? That's how much Sonic Storm. Great. Fuck you guys. It is 80. I'm almost certain of it. It's my favorite unit. 70. Oh, yeah, 80. So I see Hellions, how effective they are against this. They do have 100 health, I think. I don't know why they all died right there. Why can't they just have it right there so I can read about it? And he's not making any Hellions right now. Oh, joy. Damn it. Oh well, I think Hellions have 100 health. I'll have to double check that in a second. But Marauders are actually really good against this kind of build. Thors, of course, are really good against it. And Siege Tanks, if they had 5 more HP, I'd say they're probably pretty good against it. But realistically, at 160, it only takes 2 storms, and it's not like they're going to be able to move out of the storm. So, Protoss player, his micro of his units not good. Was able to get ready. I'm going to have to see this. I have to read this. They only have 80 90. So Hellions are okay. I thought they had 100. Force field's going down. Not doing too much, but we're going to see KoKoRo kind of back up. He does kind of want to keep him out of that range there. Siege Tank gets some free shots on it, so that's good. Spreading his units pretty well. I don't know if it's against the storm. It's just because the force fields are spreading them out for him. And there goes like carpet storms. Definitely being out macroed here by the Protoss player. Trying to back out of the storms. Poor Thor's getting obliterated. Siege Tank taking some free shots though. You know, you want that. Siege Tank hitting this area here is great. You guys can see how much damage that one Siege Tank was able to do. Unfortunately, he died in honorable combat. Now there's no more, what are they called? High Templar. So this should be able to kind of beat this. It's going to come out even again though. I think if he had, it's honestly just a macro thing. The Protoss player macro is much better than KoKoRo's. If KoKoRo's macro was as good as the Protoss player, I think he would have been able to beat this. Probably would have needed Void Race and High Templar to actually fight against this pretty well. So, not worthless Stalkers. Stalkers make me angry. Also, don't focus fire on the units that are being healed. It usually doesn't work. And so we got some more charges. They're probably going to wreck these Marauders and their Vages, but I think and it's just like these little skirmishes right now, you know, constant fighting by the Protoss player. And what's really killing KoKoRo, other than his lack of macro, is his lack of bases. You know, he wants more bases. He wants to be able to produce more units. Right now, Hit is just kind of out macroing him. He just has more production facilities, and of course, Sonic Storm's going down, destroying poor KoKoRo's units. He is able to protect this base. Unfortunately, this is what he really needs to protect. He can't lose all these, especially when he has 3,000 gas. It's over 9,000! Yeah, I mean, this Protoss player's micro it's pretty nice. You know, his control of his units drops. I like to see this stuff. I like to see good control of units. I mean, we can all macro up an army. Personally, I prefer watching a macro, but it's much easier to cast the game where the players are thirsty like me. Should have got a glass of water before I casted this game. It's a really long game. I'm running out of liquid in my mouth. It's been so long since I've casted for so long. I got a message. Cool. 40 from StarCraft Central. Good to know that. Good to know that. I'm going to have to read those after this game. I bet people are like, why is that thing busy? And these charge outs are so awesome. They probably need to be nerfed. I can't really say that, honestly. It's like you can't really nerf Zealots. I guess you could. You know what? Nerfing Zealots, Zerglings, and Marines might be better for the game. I wonder how that would change the game. Probably a lot of ways. Like the Zealot's got 3 HP. It's like a soldier on the front lines fighting without arms and legs. And he's taking out all the add-ons, which is really, really bad. I mean, obviously KoKoRo knows he doesn't need any more Vikings. He actually would be better off getting Ravens. Banshees, that's what he wants. Ravens and Banshees. The Protoss player doesn't really have any, that's kind of weird. Doesn't really have any detection floating around is the word I want, or air units. So I could see a Raven and its auto turrets going down for harassment being pretty effective. Banshee's probably better, but of course Ravens are cheaper for KoKoRo because he has so much gas. I mean, that's all it's down to right there. And unfortunately, I was able to just keep warping in units. So many warp gates for the Protoss player. We've been kind of looking up here because KoKoRo's been on the defensive for too long. I can't really tell you how many there are exactly. Was able to hold off a drop here. That must have been the like Thor drop that I missed. I'm sorry. I apologize for my suck. Yeah, Hellions are really what he wants against this, and his micro, of course. But you know, even with the blue flames, 24 is it? Yeah, 24 damage versus 150 health. That's really fucked up. Actually, I want to suggest this to you real fast, KoKoRo. Just get +1 weapons for your Hellions. I mean, right now they only do 24 damage to light, and that would mean they require 7 hits to beat a Zealot. If you upgrade it one more time, it only requires 6. And then it also would make it more effective against High Templar things. So I would suggest in the future, KoKoRo, if you decide to watch this, just to get +1 for both of them, and then go to armor for your mech units. Or just get +1 weapons for everything. Because, well, your thought process for the armor is wise. Realistically, you're going to be fighting Storm, and against Storm, your other units will be able to tank it just fine. So the 3 armor there is nice, but it's not doing too much. And if you had Hellions that were able to kill Zealots faster, you see my point. So I was just getting armor instead. It's so depressing to see these Storms wreck apart these poor units, though. There's really nothing they can do. Let's go back and merge now. It's like, oh shit, that's not good. And this guy's like, I'm just gonna hang out. I'm just gonna sit here. Yes, go Hellions. Great. Oh man, that's just screwed up. I never really noticed that before, but Archons are like as big as Thors. And Thors are massive, aren't they? And this is just it. Look at that. That is great macro here by the Protoss player. I'm just so impressed. I think it's mostly the workers though, because he's only ahead by a little bit. KoKoRo must have a lot of his workers still alive. He probably, yeah, that's a lot of workers there. I don't know what it is. I can't tell you what. He's got so much supply in units. His macro is much worse. I think all of his units are just kind of routed around. So he, you know, putting them in a big ball again would be very wise for his own health. Unfortunately, he's definitely fighting a very large uphill battle, though, against 6 base Protoss. It's really like 3 base, but whatever. You know what I'm saying. It's going to be 3 base now. The Protoss macro, though, is just so impressive. He has nothing, you know. Everything he's taking in, he's spending so well. I'll be that good in probably a couple more minutes. That's how long it takes me to get good. Well, expansion go down. He needs those minerals really bad, actually. Probably just wants to mule it up like crazy. It's kind of weird to drop an Archon. What did you see today? Well, I watched an Archon drop. Yeah. Archon drops. I think... well, I want to look at the army tabs. It's probably... No, I want to look at the unit tab. That's it. So we got... Yeah, this Protoss player has nothing. I mean, he's got... Oh, wow. That's what's up. Huh, 82 probes. Wow. KoKoRo's kind of fighting on his micro right now. He definitely needs to mule up the gold expansion. I don't know why he muled up there. Muling this up would actually have probably really changed this up a little bit. But both players are kind of down to no units. I think the big thing, though, is that the Protoss player will be able to reinforce faster just because he has more production facilities and more bases to support them. And so, well, the Protoss player really doesn't have an army right now. His will be rebuilt really quickly. Versus what KoKoRo has, no minerals. So he's not going to really have a new army ready to go. We do have some Marauders destroying turrets, which is definitely not where you want them, but he's trying to take out the gold expansion. If he's able to take it out, that would make a big difference here. You want to deny this expansion, especially before it really gets underway with Marauders. It's not like they're going to be killing probes anyway, so using tanks would probably be a better alternative. Don't forget on the map, Metalopolis, Terran players, and I guess Thermal Lance probably could too. You positioning a couple tanks in this area here and having the watchtower will really... I mean, they can't saturate the space if you do that, so don't forget about that in the future. Really helpful. And KoKoRo's just kind of resisting the storm still. I mean, he's doing a good job of fighting against them. Man, this micro here by the Protoss player constantly dropping off behind the base, that really sucks. I'm so thirsty. I can get a horse. Yeah, poor Hellion. He doesn't have +1 weapons for these yet, does he? No. Wow, 20? That's what I'm saying. You need +1 weapons for your tanks and shit first. If it was me, I'd probably just get plus weapons anyway. And I think you need to get more siege tanks. Tell you the truth. I mean, and you need to macro a little bit better. You need to practice on your macro. It's not something like anyone can just tell you how to do that. Of course, just work on it. Work on your macro. It will please me. I don't think there's anything KoKoRo can really do. His units, he's still really well tied, but and then again the Protoss is warping in fresh units, and of course they're all balled up right here, so there's not really much he can do about it. And I'm kind of curious on the upgrades. I mean, the Protoss player is definitely behind on the upgrades, but like I said, the weapons, really big thing. That's a really small thing you want to make sure you know. It does have exactly 150 hit points, and you want to make sure you grab +1 weapons, because I think it gives it +2 against light. If it doesn't, then the armor would be able to take the impact. So I'm not quite sure about that. Make sure to double check that, KoKoRo. Check to see if the weapons would make it be 1 less hit against the Zealots, because getting more Hellions and more tanks and fighting off Zealots would be much easier with more Hellions and tanks. So it was kind of actually your downfall was really the Zealots. The Psionic Storm, of course, on top of that was really painful too. So I think that's it for poor KoKoRo. He did some of the replay. I guess misery loves company, though. There's not really anything he can do against this ball destroying all of his production facilities. And, you know, 3,500 gas is driving me bonkers. Take a look at that beautiful Protoss macro. That's nice. That's nice. And 100 probes. Probably a little too much probes, but you know what? He's got the basics down. At least he can just keep pressing the right Q. Q is the correct key, as you guys can see. Yes, I have them showing down here because I need them to be shown down there. I also look at my keyboard often while I'm playing, but not when I'm typing things. Maybe I should play that one game. What's it called? I can't remember. Remember when we were kids, or I guess when I was a kid, we had the program that would teach us how to type faster. I should play that game, but it should just teach me how to like warp in units. Like, okay, warp in for Zealots. I'm like 66Y Q click 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 click. Okay, thanks guys for watching. I'll try to get back into casting and drinking water because I am just I'm totally parched right now. I appreciate you watching it, and thank you.